Okay, so today in this video, I'm going to share a very interesting insight that I feel about the market in the past few months as well as the data that has been out. Okay, so let's go through what is happening. If we really look at data, right, you realize that if you really exclusively look at the resale data, meaning that not including sub-sale and new launch, the private resale market, non-landed properties, the prices are still rising. But you see a drop in the volume. Okay, how do I interpret this data is that if you follow my channel long enough, datas are never real time. They are a little bit like a lagging indicator. So if you look at the March data, right, most of the time these March data includes properties that are sold in February or January. If they're going to extend their exercise period and all these things, it will always hit March. So there is a, I don't know what you call it, but there's this effect that we have to accept is that in March, right, the data has a push because our Chinese New Year is in January. So after Chinese New Year, there's always a push in supply demand, push in volume that people will start selling, people will start buying. You know, it's like a New Year resolution or a New Year objective or a New Year goal kind of thing. So I think it's very normal to see a higher data in March. However, I'm going to share with you some of the things that is happening in real-time market. Meaning that what are some of the things that the agents are feeling, what are some of the things that we are experiencing that is a little bit different from the bull market period. Okay, so before I go into explaining to you that, in the HDB data, okay, HDB data, we also see a increase in prices. So we haven't seen a drop in prices in any of the datas. And then we also see a increase in volume in March, and it's also due to the Chinese New Year effect. But if you compare month to month volume, we definitely see a drop in the volume, but not significant yet in the HDB market. So after I share with you these two data, I'm going to share with you some changes in the real estate market, what I feel, what some of my agents are feeling, and what other agents are also feeling in the market. Okay, so during the bull market, right, when agents sell properties, they just post on Property Guru, put advertisement, they will sell in a few days or maybe a few weeks, like 1-2 weeks. But now agent is starting to feel a little bit of pressure. Okay, when I tell you all these things, we have to give it on an average basis, because there is definitely areas that are still performing very well, and there's definitely areas that is not performing well. So if you watch my video consistently, I always tell you that when the bad things come, when the not so good things come, the first person that will feel the impact, a negative impact, is definitely the properties that are not performing well. So if you ask me today, on average, those properties that are not performing well, they already see a lack of viewings. Okay, so in the private market, like just now I was sharing, last time agents just need to post advertisement, 1 to 2 weeks or even days they sold their properties. Now agents are starting to get a little bit worried. Why do I say that? Because I start to see a lot of agents, right, sharing their listings on the agent co-broke group or WhatsApp group. Last time when it was like bull market, people don't share because people feel that there's no need. Because once they put out the advertisement, right, before they take the effort to share, they already have 10-20 viewings. They already sell the unit away. They don't need to take the effort to share in all the WhatsApp group one by one. But now you see a lot of agents, right, starting to share in the WhatsApp group, or Woodlands for sale, Marsiling for sale, where for rent, even rental. You start to see people sharing. you start to see like a change in the effect, okay? But even with these changes, right, I have to say that the volume is shrinking, but the price resistance is still very strong. If you are a buyer today, you will realize that in the market, there is actually not a lot of supply, not a lot of things to see. In this current market situation in 2023, if you are a seller today and you don't have a very strong will to make a transition or upgrade or downgrade, you definitely won't consider selling your property in this period of time. And a lot of people that may be waiting for price to drop, I think if you are those that have a lot of endurance, you will continue to wait. But if you have waited since last year, many months ago, you will realize that price is not dropping. So I want to explain why price is not dropping. Okay, I do agree that a recession may come or is coming, and that is why I also agree that June is a very crucial month. Means like I think the second half of 2023 there's a lot of things that will happen. And again, in the US side, you already see unemployment the statistics coming up. So many things are happening around the world. The peacefulness in the world is not improving. Okay, we have the North Korea, we have the Russia, we have the China-US problems. Many things are happening. So I feel that this has instilled a fear to a lot of people in the market, as well as the high interest rate. Now, out of 10 customers that I speak to, 8 will always ask this question, is that because some of the customer, right, that have made they are repricing 2-3 years ago, they managed to reprice at an interest rate of maybe 2% 3%. But today, if they were to sell the property and buy another property, they will need to sign a package that most likely floats around 4%. So the interest rate is a big factor that many people are thinking, is it the right time to move? So all these things putting up together, I will say that the volume has shrunk. However, because there is still a lack of supply in the market, meaning that if today I'm a buyer and I want to look for property, it's still not easy to find a lot of property to view in the market. Okay, I want to explain this because when the market is at a very normal point and prices are not increasing, they're stable or dropping, at that point of time when we sell our properties, is that as a buyer, they have choices. As a buyer, they can view like 5 to 10 units before they consider which one to buy. But in today's market, if you want to find a serious seller, whether is it in the private market or whether is it in the HDB market, it's not as easy as it seems. And many people, right, they are more sided towards the newer properties today, the younger HDB, the younger condos. So throughout the many years, right, I think a lot of people are taking into more consideration on property age. So you realize that the property age is one of the factors that many people are looking at. And in 2023, right, many younger properties are performing better than the older properties. Okay, before we continue, it only takes you less than 1 second to hit the like button, but it takes me so many brain juice to do a good video for you. So please remember to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Let's go back. So due to this, right, there is a lack of supply in the younger properties, but there is a stable demand from there. So even with the recession coming, the interest rate being very high, I think overall in Singapore, right, we have to face the fact that we are in Singapore. Singapore is a country that is quite safe. The economy is doing quite well. The monetary policy, the currency is very strong. We are attracting a lot of rich people to invest in Singapore or coming to Singapore to study, to work, to stay. So because of all these factors that is coming in, right, including the lack of supply in the market, we actually see a very hard fight between prices. Because if you really want prices to drop, you really need a supply that goes over the demand. Means that it's either the demand got to drop or the supply got to increase. But in the current situation, right, we are seeing a fight where the overall volume is shrinking, but we don't see a very significant demand lower than supply problem. And many people don't need to sell their place. They don't have a hurry to sell their place. So I don't think this price drop effect may come soon in Singapore unless something really, really, really big that will cause unemployment in Singapore. But again, we have to accept that with the CPF system in Singapore, even if people lose their job, I don't think they will go into a panic mode to start selling their place, because the TDSR they use to calculate their loan, the CPF they have kept in their OA, should help them to keep afloat for at least 12 to 24 months for many, many people. So actually, it's very difficult to really see a big price drop in Singapore property market. Why am I saying this? Because I feel that there is many people that is betting on the price drop and hoping for a 5%, 10%, 15%. I even hear financial people coming to say that they are expecting a 15-20% drop in the Singapore property market. So I try to convince myself, I try to think about it. I don't see a reason on how this will happen. But I have to accept the fact that in the current market situation, yes, supply has dropped, demand has dropped, the market is slower. We don't sell properties off in 1-2 weeks. It may take 1 month, 2 months, but we are not seeing a big gap, meaning like 2-3 weeks no viewing. We still consistently get viewing once or twice a week. It's not to the situation that a unit doesn't have a buyer. Because you have to understand, only when a unit don't have buyer, then the seller will panic and drop price. Only when a unit don't have buyer, then the seller will look back to data and realize that, am I pricing it too high? Should I drop the price? But when a unit always have buyers and there's viewing, there's chance, sellers doesn't need to drop their price, and then there won't be a price drop effect in the market. But we have to accept that if today you are trying to ask for a record price, or you are trying to ask for a very high price, if the buyer goes back to the data and they feel that hey, nobody is paying such a high price, actually in today's market situation, today's economic situation, including the high interest, there is lesser and lesser people willing to be the next highest transaction. So I feel that we are at the point where hitting record price, this tip of the iceberg, I think we have already hit. We are trying to find a stabilizing point now. Will we experience price drop? Frankly speaking, looking at the situation as of today, I don't think there will be a price drop. But I have to accept that yes, there's some places that is not doing well. There's some properties that's not so good. Definitely you will see price going down. But on average, on a norm, will you see a price drop in terms of index? Maybe a -1-2%, which is not significant because it's just bouncing on a straight line. But will you see a significant price drop? If you are a buyer hoping to buy a property, looking at a 5-10% price drop, I don't think it will happen at least for the next few months unless unemployment hits Singapore badly. So I just want to do this video because I feel that whatever that is happening in terms of data is a lagging indicator of what is happening to the market. In today's market, properties are harder to sell, okay? But buyers doesn't have much choices also. So it's a struggle and a fighting of two sides trying to find an equilibrium. And we have reached a tip where people are not willing to be the next record price holder also. Lesser people willing to break the highest price transaction. So that's it for today's video. I think the interesting part of property has just started. More and more of this situation will start to happen, and at least for the next few months to come, I think we will see more economic problems coming around the world. Will it affect Singapore? We have to follow and we have to analyze, because after all, I have to say that the government has done a good job to protect this small country. So that's it for today's video. Hit the like button. I see you in the next episode. We try to follow up with more of this content because I feel that we have hit a point that there is a lot more to be discussed in the next few months. Hit the like button, subscribe button. I see you in the next episode, and bye bye.